We don't follow trends, we own them. This is fusion. This is the mothership. Real yield, real power. Let's go. As a mothership alive, we rise in the night. Built from the chains where others lost sight. As our microgrids pulsing, real yield and fly. My fusion is fire, the future's inside. As our mothership online, we rise in the night. Built from the chains where others lost sight. As our microgrids pulsing, real yield and fly. My fusion is fire. This is real life. No JPEG promising, no clickbait clones. We own the code, the vault, the zones. Stack that yield, no Ponzi tones. Just smart contracts and bulletproof bones. NFTs that print, yeah, pass it pays. Fusion built it in silent days. Now we shine, no delays. Bomb flows hot like Dexy Blaze. Vol burns rising on Plazm stats. EShare drops, yeah, we like that. Low supply, no inflation gains. Microgrid earns, that's Defy flames. There's a mothership online. We rise in the night. Built from the chains where others lost sight. I can make a grids pulsing, real yield and flight. The fusion is fire, the future's in sight. There's a mothership online. We rise in the night. Built from the chains where others lost sight. I can make a grids pulsing, real yield and flight. The fusion is fire. This is real life. Remember the signs, we broke it loud, they laughed at DeFi, we built a crowd. No VCs, no ties, only freedom and yield that multiplies. Microgrid stack like royalty rights, each one's income day and night. No click to earn, no empty spin. Fusion plays the long-term win. Minted points, that's yesterday. Now it's yield every time you stay. The bonds pay in pure reward. Any share hits that scoreboard. From DexFi.com to the Plazm core. Every transaction fuels us more, we earn. We rise, we own. Welcome aboard, welcome home. Was your mothership online? We rise in the night. Love built from the chains where others lost sight. Watch your microgrids pulsing, real yield and flight. The fusion is fire, the future's in sight. Watch your mothership online. We rise in the night. Love built from the chains where others lost sight. Watch your microgrids pulsing, real yield and flight. The fusion is fire. This is real life.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the official EMP Mothership live stream. We come to you every Thursday at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. My name is AJ, I'm the team lead, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host with the most and fellow team member, LA. LA, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, everybody.
Awesome. Another week gone by. This week flew by. So we have a lot to go over tonight. Again, we start off with some market updates and all that. But before we get into it, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That really helps us get the word out and reach more new participants. So the beautiful part about all of our ecosystems are we don't live and die by new users. Obviously, have real yield, and that's what makes it really important and sustainable. But we can always use more eyeballs. So shout out to all of you that are here and that continue to spread the word. So all right, LA, we're going to jump right in tonight. Start with the overall market. Then we're going to talk about the ignition cycle of Plazm. We'll talk about EShare and Fusion and some other great stuff too. But overall, we had a really great week this week. A little bit of pullback today and yesterday. I mean, it never fails. And when we have our AMAs on Thursdays, it seems like we always get a little bit of a dump. But to be back over 2 grand per Ethereum is really, really a sign that we like to see. I do think, again, I've said it many, many times, although we're in a bear market for sure, I think this one is going to be different, and I hope that we are a lot closer to the bottom than than a lot of people think. I mean, I still hear some crazy predictions of, you know, $1,000 Ethereum and $30,000 Bitcoin. I really don't think we get there. And proof of that is, geopolitical wise, I mean, we're essentially in World War III right now, and really didn't affect the crypto market. So, you know that you again are getting to that sellers are getting exhausted when bad news doesn't really move the charts, and we've been experiencing that for months now. So, again, I do think another dip is possible, but some numbers I see, you know, 54K Bitcoin is maybe the ultimate low, and about 1,600 ETH, and both of those situations would be like a flash crash, not necessarily prolonged at those levels. But overall, I think we have a great year ahead of us, and all that we have in our ecosystems are functioning really well, even during the suppressed market. So, LA, anything you want to add to that before we get started?
Nothing in particular. I think we can dive in.
All right, awesome. So let me pull up my notes. Bear with me here. All right, so we're gonna start with Fusion. I'll pull up my the website in a minute here, but let me go through all this and so I don't forget anything, and then we can elaborate. But we have seen a lot of more volume in the marketplace. Earlier this week, we had even some 2-cent microgrids, which is a great deal. I know a lot of you scoop them up, and the Treasury is still continuing to buy and distribute EShare every week. So all that's been on track, and we are seeing a lot more buying and selling, which is great because the more volume the marketplace does, the more fees we collect. 3% on buying and selling. That allows again more rewards to be distributed, and we saw those 2-cent microgrids just get gobbled up. I don't even think we had a chance by the time I got back on to look. The community had bought it. So again, and that's bullish too. I mean, we would love for all of you that are accumulating to have uh some great entries into it. So, and if you're new to Fusion, that's another strategy is monitor the marketplace, and when you see some good deals, you can build your ownership that way. So uh again, really looking good on that front. Every week, through bonds and treasury yield of our own, as well as the debt payback. We talk about this a lot. The treasury, EMP Treasury, is one of the largest wallets in terms of the debt payback. So every week we earn more from that as well. So between all of the above, we are gobbling up microgrids and still paying out APR through eShare. In Fusion, again, we have to buy the eShare off the market first and then distribute it. So, and eShare's been really finding an amazing floor around the $10 range and slowly going up. And all that is by design. So, not only that, but we have a lot of other amazing things. I'll talk about eShare specifically in a minute. But you know, uh, economically speaking, we're in an amazing position, and APR has been going up too. So again, we're going, everything's going in the right direction, which is what matters. So, and then, yeah, again, rewards are. I'll elaborate more about eShare, specifically in a second here, but we're buying that eShare before we distribute it. So that is another really uh, fundamental difference where there's actual external buying pressure on eShare. And then, yeah, again, just overall, again, we do get some feedback in the socials of like not highlighting Fusion enough, but Fusion is still, the exposure to everything that we do. So the reason that we talk about other protocols like Plazm and Volts and Bonds and DexFi and everything is that all of those will eventually feed Fusion. So although we don't have to highlight it every single AMA, that doesn't mean that it isn't the focus of everything that we do. So maybe elaborate on that a little bit, LA, while I pull up the website real quick. On just that, we all all the fees that we get will eventually feed Fusion. So
Yeah, I think that's why it's so bullish that there's so much competition right now inside the marketplace because all those fees, 3% buyer, 3% seller, but also remember that EMP is the market, the mothership. And so all of the other projects that we're highlighting, just like AJ just said, um, are feeding Fusion. And so there are fees that fuel rewards from within Fusion, and there are fees and other revenue from other projects that we run that feed Fusion. And so some weeks there's going to be more to talk about with Fusion. Some weeks there's going to be more to talk about with some of our other projects. But just remember that this is the mothership, and um, it is important to have these other projects fueling the mothership.
yeah,
You know,
for sure.
you when you buy a brand new car, you're probably going to talk about it and think about it a lot. But as the weeks go on, you're also going to think about filling it up with gas and doing regular maintenance on it and all of these things that keep that car running really nicely. And if you just don't ever focus on those things, that amazing brand new car is going to deteriorate quickly, right? So we have this amazing foundation, this beautiful car that is Fusion. And then on a weekly basis, we also focus on getting it the best gas and getting it the best oil and making sure all the maintenance is complete. And that is the rewards that are fueling it from those other projects.
Yeah, no doubt. Like great analogy, and it's true. I mean, and what we say in every AMA, what people don't like to think about is now is the opportunity. I mean, the fact that we don't highlight Fusion every week, and specifically, even though in the background, all the mechanisms are at play here. That is the time to accumulate, and we've seen that. Like again, those that are that understand Fusion is the core that we get exposure to all of our builds through Fusion. That as the market recovers, we're able to buy and buy more microgrids and buy more EShare to reward. All of those things matter, and when the tipping point happens, where APR is going up quicker and quicker, then people realize, hey, man, Fusion is pretty awesome. I should have been buying at 3 cents when now it's 30. So those are all just, and again, that's not shame or hate or throwing shade at anybody. It's just the reality of it. So again, I would say being well diversified in everything that we do, having cash flow from bonds, using what you earn in bonds to get into Plasm or Fusion or Vault on your own. I mean, there's many ways that you can benefit from the entire ecosystem, that also allows you a lot more flexibility in your personal journey as well. So all right, so real quick again, eShare, like I said, right around $10. Floor price on microgrids about 3 cents. We have seen some staking go up on the total microgrid, so that's a bullish sign, because what that means is that we see a lot more, whether it's the treasury or other users, buying microgrids off the market and staking them. Because remember, if your microgrid is listed for sale, you're not earning any of the fees. So that is a trade-off that you have to make. Um, and it benefits those, again, that if they want to exit, they shouldn't be earning while doing so. So that is bullish. And even though, again, as we continue to accumulate as well through the treasury, everybody else's ownership proportionally goes up as well. So, and then if you are brand new, you can look at the FAQs. here, but I was going to show real quick. Oh, let me try to go back up. Hang on. All right, so if you are brand new, the most inexpensive microgrid is always listed first. So you would just need ETH on base. You would come down here to hit buy, and then you can do one microgrid or all 27,000, depending on what one you're buying. And there's a 3% fee. That fee doesn't go to us as a team. It goes to, again, further buying and distributing EShare for rewards. So or a portion also goes to buying microgrids off the market too. So that's a breakdown there. And yeah, when you buy it, they will automatically stake. But if they don't, just make sure that when you go back up here, that it shows your position and has the microgrids. If not, they'll be down here in this little balance area. Unless you're selling your microgrids, make sure that balance is always 0. And then again, the only reason to unstake is if you're wanting to sell. And then you can claim up here. Again, it's been getting better and better every week. So and you're earning actual EShare as well. So even though the APR right now is right around 5%, when EShare doubles, triples, does a 10x, now that's 50% APR because you've been earning actual EShare along the way. So that's why you hear us say sometimes that Fusion is like a mining rig where you're actually mining EShare even though it's non-inflationary, you're ROIing through accumulating a price appreciating asset that is very, very scarce. So, and on that note, that's a perfect segue into EShare. So, LA, do you want to go through a few bullet points on EShare? I was going to pull
Yeah.
up the chart as well and show that we are officially deflationary on EShare as well. So,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing we're really excited about when it comes to eShare is that there's lots of eShare catalysts either here or on the way. And so you've heard us speaking about LStake that's soon coming, Hot Chicken that we went over last week with Cool Sheet that just launched, Plazm, and of course Fusion. They all contribute to more volume on eShare and or burning. And so over time, more and more eShare supply is being burned and it's becoming a deflationary token. It already is deflationary. And so we're seeing more utility being built, more burning. And as time goes on, that only becomes more and more bullish for those who are holding, or even more so for those who are stacking up.
Yeah, no doubt, LA. Again, it's so true. And yeah, I mean, the proof is here. So the total supply, once we bridged everything to base, now that eShare is 100% on base, we started at 60,000. So through, again, and this isn't the whole picture because we've burned probably 200 or 300 eShare at least in the treasuries. And again, it's held in the treasury to not actually reduce the circulating supply. But through other mechanisms like Hot Chicken and all the other built on top of platforms, they really do actually burn eShare. So we made it possible that now that we're on base, that eShare is actually burnable, meaning, again, typically you see eShare just in the burn address. That is how you burn a token that isn't actually um, designed to be burnable. But we did that when we bridge. So now we can call a function on the contract that actually burns the token. So again, that number is even less than what showed, but that token supply will only go down from here on out through actual burning on chain, which is really, really bullish. And that helps accurately display the market cap as well. And just to show that, so if we go to Hot Chicken, like LA said, And again, we did a whole breakdown on this on the last AMA. So if you haven't, if you don't know about that, please watch the previous AMA. We did a whole tutorial, and a lot of you've been just earning free eShare through this. So the odds are amazing. You can enter your wallet, and you can participate every day on this. But as you can see, volume is picking up. And if we go down here, in 1 week alone, with about 4 players or 5 players a day, we've already burnt 1.1 eShare. So right here down at the bottom, you can see. Hopefully, you guys can see that. Let me, all right, there you go. Yeah. So again, as you can see, little games and other builds on top of eShare will speed that process up. So if you haven't experimented with hot chicken, please do so, and it will help all of our bags through the buy and burn of eShare. And then one more thing, again, I just want to highlight is this. So even in a down market, I mean, basically this entire year, we've been right around 8 or 9, between $8 and $10 of eShare. So again, not financial advice, but I think we're really finding a floor. And so the more that we continue to ramp up the buying pressure through real yield and all the other protocols that feed Fusion, that should just increase more and more and more from here. And we've been holding, this way while the overall market has only gone down, which is also super, super bullish. So, all right. Anything else about eShare, LA?
No, that was kind of it in a nutshell. And we
Awesome.
love what we're seeing right now with it.
Perfect. All right. Let me go back over to my notes. And what is up next, LA? Oh.
We are going to talk about bonds next.
All right, perfect. So a lot of you again have seen the power of bonds. Let me go and pull up the website too while I talk about this. But we just did the rollover earlier. Well, it's Wednesday night, Thursday morning is when we do the rollover, and we held pretty steadily at about 65% APR. So we've had a ton of new volume coming in to bonds, but they've been really holding up extremely well. And again, that is what we say a lot here. Obviously, it's good to be diversified, but if you're brand new or even if you're an OG, I highly, highly would suggest, not financial advice, but start your journey with bonds, because bonds allow you to then have daily USDC coming into your wallet. And if you have a big enough bag, by the minute that you can then use to go into Fusion or Plazm or anything else that we showcase in the mothership. So let me just pull it up real quick. We hit all-time highs too in terms of CVL. All right, hopefully that shows up. So yeah, again, even with the market coming down a little bit, principal balance is still holding really strong. Like I said, we've never really gone below 0.02 in the last like 4 months. Bond price between 40 and $45 uh, in terms of dollar value. And daily profit and compound has been holding strong. So still doing nearly 6 grand a day in profit slash compound. The compound goes to help protecting against a permanent loss, and now over 65% APR. Again, it's been averaging around this for the entire 10 months that bonds has been alive. So, and pushing all-time high in fund value. Again, now over 2.5 million. And last but not least, an incredible 1.34 million dollars paid out in USDC. So again, another about 30 grand a week now in payouts. So pretty incredible. And the word is spreading. I think the affiliate program has been doing really well. If you are interested in sharing what bonds are, you can earn a cut of the yield. Again, super sustainable and not
Every week, a cut of the
yeah.
yield every week.
Yeah, no doubt, LA. Isn't that amazing? So, again, this is a residual split from the team split. You get it for referring TVL, and it can be a full-time income if you're able to build it big enough. So yeah, every those that did refer this week, you can claim right now. So make sure you check every Thursday. You come back down here, and it will have USDC available right here. So available to claim and at USDC right into your wallet. So and then obviously total earn, total referrals, active referrals, and the referral TVLs all here. Um, you earn again based on the yield. So we're not taking unsustainable measures in terms of giving others deposits until you're your affiliate. So it's really really powerful and has helped us really start to scale all this. I know we had some great videos this week. Shout out to Tree over on Sui and Millions. Both of them did a great video. Uh, I know we have a few more coming later this week with some old faces you might remember. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but that should be great. And then Jake and I actually did an AMA today with a private whale group again on vaults and bonds. So we're always working to get the word out about bonds. So all right, I think that was everything. I mean, anything else with bonds?
No, that's it. Just we're super bullish on bonds. It's such an easy way to get involved in the ecosystem and have steady revenue or passive income flowing in.
For sure, absolutely, LA. All right, now we're gonna go on to Plazm. And again, if there are questions, please feel free to ask. We'll get to those at the end here. But I wanted to start off with our video. So we are now in cycle 3. Oh, go ahead, LA. Oh, sorry. Was it?
No, you're good.
All right, sorry, I thought I missed something. So, this is what we're calling the ignition cycle for Plasm. It's cycle 3, so 154 days in. We're now on 155 or 6 days in, and this next cycle will be really, really cool because it's when we finally start seeing the yield start to outweigh the selling pressure. So, although there's still a lot of volatility, which we'll talk about in a second, this is where the turning point happened. So let me go ahead and share this video for those that didn't see a little epic trailer about the next cycle of Plasm. So here we go. One sec. All right, there you have it. Oh, let me bring us back up. Oh, all right, here we are. So there you go. There's an awesome little trailer created by yours truly, utilizing AI. Gotta love good AI video creation. But really excited for that. Again, the ignition cycle fueling up the rocket ship before we blast off, right? Because after we fuel up and ignite, the next step is blast off. So keep an eye out for the blast cycle in another 77 days. And I think that we're really going to start to see the power of the buy and burn. So let me go ahead and pull up the website. Again, those of you that are still wanting to get involved in Plasm, now is as good a time as any. And uh, right now, what is really cool is, hang on, let me pull it up. Bear with me here. All right, so what is really cool now is you are essentially we're in this interesting time that with the rollover everybody has gone in again using easy mode, and that has really reduced the ROI. And so if you've already gotten involved, then ROI may be different for you. But if you're brand new, uh, buying Plasm on the market and then going in with either easy mode or staking right now, you can have some great results because you're buying Plasm at the lows, and now you're able to stake it to earn on top. So if you already have Plasm, though, we're getting into this interesting time where it's almost not profitable to use easy mode, and that is by design. So again, easy mode was made to make it easy, again, pun intended, for people to enter the system again without needing fresh capital. But if you don't have fresh capital, obviously, staking on your own manually is the best way. We did an AMA with Ryan, Degenerate Passive Income, and he went in with all fresh capital on Tuesday to the tune of about 7 ETH, 14 grand of new capital. But obviously, some of us may not have that much to go in with. It's okay to just hold Plasm. And the reason I say that is the system is reflexive. So as the price recovers, now your ROI and using easy mode again becomes lucrative. So again, just because you can't do it right now in a way that might make instant profit, that is by design. And so you really have to run the numbers on your own on whether it makes sense. But if you have a lot of stakes coming due, you can simply just hold Plasm for the price to recover, and then easy mode gets even less expensive to use over the long run. And ultimately, through the next 77 days, um, we could see another 100 grand of buying pressure alone on Plasm, and that will do wonders on the price, assuming that people don't use easy mode and let the price actually recover. Because if you look on chain, the vast majority of the selling pressure is through easy mode, which you know uh, is actually bullish because that means people are not leaving the system and they're fueling the treasury. But at some point, the money has to come from somewhere, and it is a better idea to just hold off for the price to recover. Now, all that being said, if you're brand new to Plasm, going in with fresh capital is always the best move, and you can either buy Plasm and stake on this right here, or you go to easy mode um, and then select ETH or USDC, either of those, and it will use the fresh capital. It'll buy the Plasm and pay the staking fee all in one go. We do recommend 77 days, which is the longest to get the most shares. But overall, we're looking real healthy. So we're pushing nearly $500,000 now. Again, in the treasury, that is all bonds. So um, all the contribution costs that you pay, whether it's staking or creating, goes to buying bonds in the treasury. And now we can earn on the yield without ever having to take the principal of the treasury to buy and burn, which is an absolute game changer. The only downside is that it's a little slower to start. But when we start cranking, and this gets to 500,000, a million, 2 million, 3 million, we're doing literally 2-3 rand a day in buying and burning, and without depleting the treasury, and that is just so powerful. So we did also add a new yield split. So we took buy and burn is what it is. Buys and burns the token. Buy and build was building liquidity, and that was about 30% of the overall split was going to liquidity. We basically decided that the liquidity is good enough as it is, especially because we're actually buying more in what we call active liquidity. Because by doing $1,000 a day in buying pressure, that means somebody can sell $1,000 a day and not move the chart at all. So that alone acts as liquidity. And so, in the vein of future proofing and capital efficiency, we added buy and grow. So now, instead of 30% going to buy and build, we have 10% going to buy and build, and now we have 20% going to buy and grow, which again you can see here, all fully transparent. 20% of the daily um, yield gets reinvested. That's about 170 bucks, buying 4 bonds a day. So now the protocol is buying new bonds to increase the treasury and increase yield without any new participants whatsoever. And that is so bullish. We were never Ponzonomics at all, but we did have to rely on at least some form of new users to grow the treasury, even though the treasury would never deplete. Obviously, we want the treasury to grow, and not just through price appreciation alone on the assets, which again is a whole nother factor. If ETH doubles, then in theory, the treasury would be almost $1 million on that alone. But the whole idea is that we want to grow in both ways. So now we're actually buying more bonds to the tune of 4 bonds a day on supporting the protocol. So and then last but not least, let me just go here. All right, so here you can see all that has been bought and burned already. Again, now that we are at the now that we are at the next cycle, a lot more of the supply has been distributed. Again, Plazm is not inflationary, but it does release based on the cycles. So we have seen a little more Plazm enter, but a lot of people have staked that. I mean, we're still at about 30% Plazm staked. About 3 million Plazm liquid. The distribution is amazing, and nearly at this, even with the price being low, we're burning like crazy. So nearly 2 million Plazm burned. I mean, again, before the cycle, we were about 22%. So we're going to be back there in no time, even with the supply being more available. So, and overall, there's still only about 8 million total Plazm, which if you look at the price of the treasury, which again is roughly 500K, divided by or the Plazm supply divided by that, or no, I had it right the first time. The treasury divided by 8 million, you're looking at a price of about 6 cents per Plazm. So and we're at like 2.8 right now. So severely undervalued, just based on that alone. And then again, just a few other metrics we added to this page. The overall ETH value Again, about 225 ETH. The dollar value, we added the actual bond price in both ETH and dollar value. The daily yield. So again, we've been going anywhere from 800 to 1200 a day in yield. All of this is variable based on the current APR, which also is now displayed here at 66%. Over 11,000 bonds. And again, $103,000 of buying and burning that will never be sold again. Just imagine if a whale had come into Plazm and bought 103,000 dollars worth of Plazm, and then burned their private keys. That's essentially what we're seeing now, and that number will only go up again over the next 77 days. Even with APR where it is, that's another, upwards of 100 grand that we're going to be able to burn in Plasm. So just everything you can possibly think of is bullish with the way the system is designed. So, all right, any other metrics I need to go over for Plasm, LA, or notes?
I don't think so. No.
Cool. All right,
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
All right, what's next?
There was one something that I just want to kind of like highlight again that was the big milestone. So over 100,000 from bonds that that has bought and burned Plazm systematically in just 154 days. So imagine the buying pressure in the next 154 days. That's just
Yeah.
something I just wanted to highlight in there.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. All right, cool. I think that was most of it. In terms of Plasm, yeah, I don't know. I
The
think that was
math,
it. Oh, yeah, the
the
math behind
math
it. Yeah.
on the new switches has been a big topic inside the Telegram group this week.
Okay, yeah. So that is so basically the new distribution, right? So yeah, we are what I went over it a little bit, but I can highlight again. And you can see on the docs too. I think Scott, our dev, is updating that as we speak. But basically the new breakdown is 60% of the daily yield is going to the buy and burn, 10% goes to the buy and build, 10% goes to the EShare liquidity building, and then 20% is compounded. And all of those numbers are exactly the same as they were previously, give or take a few percentages, just to make them even numbers, um, except for the buy and build. So the buy and build was previously 30%. We reduced that by 20% and put that into compounding. So overall, again, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of difference. And because the yield will be higher from compounding more bonds, that active liquidity is actually buying and burning more than what it would have been doing, had it just been sitting in the LP. So, and again, I mean, we're at what I consider the lows, both in ETH and Plasm, and we still have nearly 75 grand of liquidity. So, should be plenty, and we'll go up. I mean, if the way liquidity works is it's based on dollar value, right? So if Plasm doubles from here, now we have 150 grand of liquidity, instead of half that. So as the protocol recovers and gets more powerful, so does all the metrics associated with it. So all right, hopefully that answers that. And yeah, long term, again, if we have this amount of liquidity at what I consider the lows, then it can only get better. And you don't want to have too much liquidity either. This is something that we've talked about in the past. A lot of big protocols suffer from that. You know, 500 to $1 million in LP is more than enough, even for you know top tier projects. Liquidity really only matters for getting in and getting out in one go. So if you can not sell your entire bag in one clip, then usually there's enough flow in the LP to cover that. And now, rather than just having $500,000 in liquidity sitting there, doing nothing, and just the off chance that somebody buys and sells a big amount, that LP value is now earning in bonds. So it's way more capital efficient, and ultimately helps the protocol in the long run. So, all right, hopefully that helps explain. And yeah, DeFi after party. Shout out to DeFi after party. The math is unfuddable. So yeah. All right, LA, was that it?
Love it.
Or yeah,
Yeah, I think we
okay.
can move on to some questions.
Awesome. So yeah, I know it looked like we had quite a few early on. I'll try to go back and see. And
Yeah.
did we have any on Discord today
Yes,
or
we have
no?
one. We'll start out with that one.
Okay.
Do you have a rough weekly or daily average to what is being paid out regarding the exploit to make people whole again? Once paid out, how much of a percentage of this would go to rewards to microgrid holders?
Yeah, this is a great question. I know I did see this in one of our other Telegram chats too. I meant to have it ready for tonight, but I'll go back and make sure I have better numbers for next week. But the overall gist of it is, in the last what 9 months, roughly, we've been able to cover, between 30 and 40% of the original repayment fund. So that is really bullish. Again, um, and that covers, the vaults alone. But it's a snowball, right? So meaning, even though we've only been able, and I say only, but overall, I think it's way ahead of schedule. Um, have only been able to do that amount. The quicker that we pay off the lower numbers, the quicker that speeds up. So it's non-linear that we are able to get ahead of it. Now, in terms of actual dollars, again, that's I have to get back to you on that. But it could be literally tens of thousands of dollars of yield that is currently going to that. That would be going to a split between GDEX and Fusion. So again, GDEX also obviously has an APR associated with it for those that hold GDEX and stake. So we don't get everything, but overall we're talking thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a month, that is then additional revenue to Fusion and everything that we're doing. So without getting too detailed, but I will for next week. The amount that we have coming at some point in the near future is a game changer. And again, I mean, you can't FUD that. I mean, we are making right by everybody that was affected. And whether it's today or a year from now, eventually it will happen. And then all of that goes into Fusion and GDEX. So, just again, by the time that happens, I can almost guarantee that microgrid values, EShare price, and GDEX price will be much, much higher than it is today. So,
Okay, awesome. Next question. Can we buy microgrids with eShare? If not, is this planned for the future?
yeah, so unfortunately, the answer is no, just because the whole idea is that we want to settle everything in ETH. If we did, have a direct link between buying eShare or using microgrids settlement in eShare, and we did this already with the previous design of Fusion. What we realized is, you know, if people aren't staying, they sell eShare anyway. So although it added more volume, which was great, it still wasn't exactly beneficial to do that. So the short answer is you can always sell eShare on your own to buy to sell eShare to ETH and then use the ETH to buy microgrids. That is essentially one selling event for EShare, without being two, because if it was EShare, now we're getting buyers and sellers that have to liquidate EShare to be able to stay or go within the ecosystem. So I would just say again, if you have EShare, you want to buy microgrids, you have to sell EShare either on um, uh, Uniswap where we are now on or through your wallet. Now, Ravi and MetaMask allow you to pretty much buy and sell anything in the wallet directly. So if you need help with that, then just post publicly, and one of the admins will answer you publicly on that. So.
And one thing I just wanted to comment and remind of why it's set up this way is that with taking in ETH as fees for both the buyer and the seller, that's 3% on each side per sale. We then take that ETH and purchase EShare in order to fuel the rewards. And that buying pressure on EShare is important because it negates any sell pressure that people individually are doing with selling any rewards to, profit from the system. And so
Yeah.
it's important that it's set up this way because we want to use those fees to purchase eShare and keep eShare nice and strong.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, great, you did a better job at explaining that as you always do. But yeah, to reinforce what Ella is saying, it is still a net positive no matter what now, using ETH as the settlement because we have to actually use that ETH to buy eShare. If people were just giving us, again, I use that word lightly, but basically, if everything was settled in eShare, there's barely any buying pressure associated with rewards. And so if somebody sells eShare, it's a net negative to the price. So yeah, I that's what I was trying to get at earlier, but LA did a much better job at articulating that. So yeah, that's one of that is the reason that we don't allow eShare as the settlement.
Awesome. Believe it or not, that's all the questions we have for tonight.
Wow, all right, that's awesome. So, yeah, I did see a few others just comment, not necessarily a question, but it's worth giving a shout out. And that is L stake. So, yeah, again, Grover, we're in the final stages of the audit for L stake. That will be hopefully launching sometime this month. It's looking more now like later in the month, but all that is powerful. And to an earlier point of what to do with Plazm, um, both EShare and Plazm both will be some of the first partner tokens with liquid staking as a service. So LStake again will be integrated in having other tokens that you can basically single-sided stake and earn through that system. So all of those things are really powerful in terms of future proofing and earning in the system, even with the same amount of economic energy we have today. So hopefully that answers those questions as well. And yeah, we'll probably have Grover on again for a guest appearance before L Stake launches. So make sure that you're also are following the socials if you have more questions on that. And we'll do a full breakdown on that too. The liquid staking or XL staking for the partner tokens, that will probably be another month. But within the next 2 months, we'll have some serious utility for all of those. So, all right, awesome. Then yeah, I think that was everything. Oh, the only other thing we didn't mention was Fortune Fi. Again, keep an eye out for that the lottery that we're that's utilizing bonds. That's been doing great. We have actually a really cool announcement that we'll share for next week on Fortune 5. But keep an eye out for some of those videos in our socials that will help give you an idea of what's coming. So, all right, awesome, LA. I think that was everything. Any final words for all the wonderful people?
Yes. Can you just take a look at this final question? Can you type what the company trades under? I'm not sure what that means.
I have no idea what that means. I'm assuming uh, e- what our token is. EShare on base. So yeah, I have no idea. If you can elaborate, I can answer that while we wrap it up. But yeah, the only liquid token now in terms of Fusion and EMP is eShare on base. You can also get exposure to GDEX through again on base for all of our vaults, and then Plazm. We have uh, uh, all the official contract addresses are in our socials. So feel free to join Telegram, and we can give you the proper tokens. But I guess that's what they're asking. Yeah.
No idea. But guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Another good one on the books. And we'll look forward to seeing all of you next week. Thank you for being here.
All right. Awesome. Yes. As always, LA, appreciate you being my co-host with the most. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe before you head on out. Also, consider sharing this and even utilizing bonds for your own token, supporting real yield through our bonds. Or if you have a group that you're involved in and maybe an influencer that you like, tell them about what we're building with bonds. It's the yield and the transparency is unmatched in the crypto space, especially in the current landscape. So definitely check that out, and we appreciate any word of mouth help. All right, so as always, we come to you every Thursday at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate all of you. Good night, good day. We will see you next week. Bye bye, everyone.